So here we are, Dino, we're in Cannes on a Friday after what I think has been a fantastic week. It feels like it's not that long ago that we were doing something similar at the end of MIPIM 2025. We were reflecting on a good week then, and we were looking ahead to what 2026 might look like. And we didn't really know at that point, but now we do know. How would you reflect on MIPIM 2026 from a place perspective?
Yes, you're right. From a place perspective, well, from our angle, I think it's gone better than we could have hoped. This year we brought 2 delegations, not 1. The general numbers seem to be up, both in the show and in the city, which can be, interpreted in different ways. But from what we've done, we've had a very, very busy and active 5 days here. I think the numbers that were given to me this morning were 55 videos, 142 people came with us this year in total in the end. 18 events across 5 days. And I couldn't tell you how many news stories and whatever else we put out. So it's been a busy week from start to finish on every level, which is what we came for, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been non-stop. I mean, 18 events. Hopefully that doesn't show too much in my face. Obviously, Julia has chaired a good chunk of those as well. But yeah, it feels like the vibe has been good. And obviously the big difference this year has been having the North of England suite, which we didn't have last year. Tell me a bit about that and how you think that's gone.
Yeah, well, it's a space that rarely comes available, and when it did, I thought we must have this. It's right next to UK Hub, so it's quite straightforward to get to between the UK and the North of England, and it's been very, very useful to have. Essentially, obviously, it's a real estate summit, the whole event, but actually, it's funny enough when you look at it from a delivery point of view, it is also real estate. If you have the land and you have the space to do and activate whatever it might be, sessions, panel sessions, drinks receptions, gatherings, then you've got the ability to do a lot of different things. And so having the suite has given us a further opportunity, a step up, let's say, and it enabled us to do things both for the North of England and for Scotland, which I thought was very collaborative, and obviously creates business. So the suite's been fantastic. The reception we've had in terms of people coming on board and seeing their brand profile, being able to use it as a serious base for their business conversations, clearly is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great to see, some really well attended events on the suite. The UK Leaders Roundtable was a highlight, the circuit session as well. But equally, it was really nice just to see people coming along and using it as their base and having meetings here and doing some work here. That was really nice as well, and kind of shows you both sides of it. You mentioned Scotland. That was a big highlight of this year. First time they'd been at MIPIM since 2019, and we obviously played a part in that alongside the founding partners from the private sector. How do you reflect on how that's gone for Scotland?
Yeah, I mean, it's taken, best part of 9-10 months to get, for that project to come here and be a reality. And the real positive nature behind it. Yesterday, when we finished up and we had our closing reception, the Scots were very vocal in their celebration of how well it's gone. So I like that. I like to see that. This is a business that thrives on relationships and people, and yes, you can see the logos everywhere, but actually there are people that are representing those logos, and they're here and they've done business and they've discussed what they wanted to do. They put their country back on the international scene. And I'm very proud that we were the catalyst for that and able to do it. So yes, that's a resounding success. It's baby steps. Now where the ambition's there, the Scottish ambition is there. So it's just a case of logistics and a bit of money and making it sing. So yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my perspective, a bit of a learning curve, getting to know the Scottish market a bit. I think I know more about Scottish housing now than I would care to admit. But that's been really, really interesting to see how the private sector has driven that. And hopefully next year, we had Dundee, we had Glasgow, we had Edinburgh councils represented, which is fantastic, and hopefully bigger and better next year. What have been some highlights for you from the week in terms of some of the content that we've done or meetings that you've had and just a general vibe around the place?
I There's been some standout moments, some based around activity, some based around actual individuals, who's come on to the stand. So you mentioned earlier about the circuit session. One of the themes that's come out of, or one of the bits of feedback we've had over the course of the week is that what we've done has been quite different. So you can suffer from death by panel session at MIPIM, and we know that, and I think we've always tried as a company to try to do things differently. That's in our DNA, let's say, the things like place party that we've always done differently and whatnot. And I think the interaction, that would be the word, the interaction that we had with people, the circuit session, the how to build a new town, just on that how to build a new town, that was held at the Canopy by Hilton, and we've done events there over the years, and that's the only place really that we can find a place to hold 200 people. Now, you don't get 200 people at stand shows at MIPIM, but we did. So we need to use the Hilton for it because of the size. But people really like the way that the panelists and Julia got everybody getting involved in that. And it's it's halfway through the week. It's it's time to sort of get that battery going again and push through to the end of the week. So that was very nice to see, sort of interaction and doing things differently in different spaces. Particularly nice to see John Morgan of Morgan Sindel come and spend time and have his lunch on the stand. A gentleman of that caliber, spending time and supporting the North is something serious. We had Elliot Robertson from Robertson Group come from Scotland, particularly to support the delegation, which again, is a significant thing to have. But I mean, yes, there's so much that goes on during MIPIM. It's really hard to pull out one or two things, but those would be the sorts of things that will stick in my mind from this year.
Yeah, absolutely. The interactive nature of the sessions, I think you're right to point out. I didn't see the Newtown session because I was off doing something else, but I've heard rave reviews, so that's really great. Investable North as well. That's all about giving as many people from across the North as possible a platform to talk about their places, and new places as well that we were supporting this year. So Hull and East Riding, amazing to have leader, Councillor Anne Hanley out here. She was a bit of a star this week. Sheffield University as well. We had GMCA Chief Executive Caroline Simpson on the stand for a little bit. So it's been really good to sort of represent a whole swathe of the country, and of course an entire country in Scotland.
Yeah, I know exactly. And if you think about where we were 5 years ago, and it was Place Northwest only, and we were doing what we do, and that was good at the time. The expansion of Place North, obviously this year, or last year, we also launched Place Midlands. I'd like to think we'll be able to do even more next year for more territories, more patches. You mentioned the Leaders Summit earlier. That was a round table with an audience. Not seen anybody else do that. We gave it a go. I thought it was extremely interesting to see mayors and chief execs and leaders have a conversation amongst themselves whilst people were able to pick out what they're saying. That was a nice format. So yeah, no, I think from our perspective, it really has been an excellent week. We had 68 partners from the north of England, and 20, including the Scottish government, support the Scotland at MIPIM. And Richard Rawlinson coming over here and spending the entire week here with the delegation is significant. So it's just enabling those things to happen. We've had a couple of encouraging conversations from other cities and other city regions about what we might be able to do to support, not necessarily support, but actually amplify their program. Because the truth is that, we're a publication with reach, readership, and we're trusted to do the job, whatever that job is, if it's video, if it's comms, if it's marketing, if it's events. And, the challenge that other stands and regions have is they don't have that communications tool. So I want to be that tool. I want us to be able to promote the best of the north of England. So if people want to use us to help amplify their key investment messages, then we're right here ready to do it. So that was very encouraging to have those conversations in order to help everybody next year.
So the dust is just about settling. We had a really nice team dinner last night reflecting on the week, and a lot of patting each other on the back, which is always nice at the end of a bit of a graft. But we're looking ahead to next year already, aren't we? We have to start making decisions, but what's it going to look like? Tell us what MIPIM 2027 looks like for Place Media Group.
Well, as ever, we'll try and do more. We'll try and do more. We'll try and be better. We'll try and come up with something new. So I can't exactly say what that is right now, but I'm sure we will do something different. But what is very encouraging is already this morning, it's Friday, it's 11:15, and I've had a message through from our prestige sponsors, Andy Temple and WSP, who supported us for the last 2 years. We're really front and fore of everything that's happened this week, and they've already confirmed that they're back in for 2027.
Oh, amazing.
Which is really good. And of course we need strategic relationships like that. The region needs strong and steady and progressive support. So having that before you've left from this year for next I'm very proud of that. The team, you've all done a really good job in the team, and that's how you get rewarded for it, is your clients saying that's what I want to be associated with. So that's a brilliant thing to finish off the week. I really am very pleased about that. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
See you in 2027.
See you then.